the All-Overpaid Team. This is an analysis brought to you by Bleacher Report, and we could not be more grateful and more excited to both have experienced this list, but also to be able to bring it to you. If you're not aware, the Bleacher Report put this together. It's a list of 28 players who are active, so there's a full roster.
Well,
The
active. Some
payroll,
of them have not played this year, just so you know.
right? But they're still getting paid, and there's a contingent of them who are making over $10 million and are not playing, but they still meet the requirements. So the payroll for this roster of just the 28, not the 10 or whatever that are listed in the reserves, but it's $628 million worth of payroll, which for those of you actuaries at home is 10 times what the A's are paying their entire roster.
It's crazy. This is so real quick. This list for a lot of fans should be like, oh, I'm glad that my team didn't go out and overpay this offseason.
Sure.
Really glad. Right? Like,
yeah.
This is why it's really nice sometimes you take a couple of years and build up your farm system, because this kind of stuff can happen to you. All right. How do we want to do this, Brig? I think we should just name the name and how much they're getting paid.
I agree. Why don't you take one position at a time? So you take the catchers,
Okay.
I'll do first base, we'll move from there.
Okay. So it starts with catchers, and your worst catcher is James McCann with the Baltimore Orioles. He's getting paid $12.15 million with a 0.2 B WAR. That's a baseball reference WAR. He's a backup catcher though, so really what that is you're just paying a whole lot of money for a backup catcher.
Yeah, a lot.
But
here's the other thing though. I got to bring this up. Let's take Shohei Ohtani's money, and they highlighted this in the introduction to the article. They're using the average annual value. They're not using cash payouts this season. They're taking $70 million of his contract, for example, instead of the $2 million he's getting this year. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, that's how they work the math. Okay. All right.
Spoilers, he's still not on the list.
Yeah, no, he's not on. No. If he did, well, I would have lost all faith. Throw away
your
the
runner-up.
list.
Your runner-up is Max Stassi with the Chicago White Sox. He's making $7 million this year, but he has not played in a game since 2022.
That's overpaid.
Pretty good deal for a backup catcher, but not a good deal for a guy who is not playing. Speaking of guys
first
who
base.
aren't playing, Brig.
Yeah, your first baseman is Jose Abreu with the Houston Astros. He is getting paid $19.5 million with a negative 1.6 B WAR, and he does not play baseball. He is not playing baseball. So that's very cool. Your runner-up makes me very sad, though it's hard to disagree with. Anthony Rizzo for the New York Yankees, $17 million. He has a negative 0.6 B WAR. I think that concussion really messed him up, and I'm upset at the organization still because I think that's what we're dealing with. But, whatever. Go ahead.
For good reason. I think so, too. Yeah. Absolutely.
Let's
Second base, another Yankee. Another Yankee. Gleyber Torres, $14.2 million. 0 B WAR, the most errors at his position in the last, 3 years, and refusing to change positions. Negative fun differential for Gleyber Torres as well.
Yeah.
Your runner-up, Xander Bogaerts of the Padres. And I think mostly what this is the fact that he is paid so much money because they're paying him $25.5 million this year. And he's got a 0.9, not a 9, a 0.9 B WAR this season. He is one of the shortstops on that team and not having a great year.
No.
To go along with it.
It's okay. Third baseman, everybody was new. Everybody knew this was coming. Anthony Rendon takes the number 1 spot at third base. Los Angeles Angels, $38.6 million for a 0.2 B WAR.
And Brig, it's shocking that it's positive. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Because
He
he's only
goes
played in like
out.
a handful of games.
Yeah, he has a couple of at
But I guess,
bats.
but I
He's
guess
I'm
if you
out of
don't
here.
play, you're not gonna. If you don't play, it's not gonna go down. So
Yeah,
there you go. You play a couple
exactly.
of good games, you get a positive WAR. Then you go sit down,
Yeah,
like, hey, look at my contributions when I was in the game. So
that's
how
right.
about that?
I'm going to take another dagger here. The runner-up at third base is DJ LeMahieu, New York Yankees, $15 million for a negative 1.4 B WAR. He basically cannot catch a break. That's it.
Sometimes you just have bad luck.
I think it's over for him in the boogie down.
Okay. Shortstop. I think we all saw this one coming. So it has co-worst. Your first one is Javi Baez with the Tigers. No surprise there. They're paying him a whopping $25 million for a negative 1.1 B WAR. It's bizarre what has happened to him since he left Chicago.
I don't get
Inexplicable.
it. Yeah.
And your other co-worst is actually Trevor Story with the Red Sox, $22.5 million with a .1 B WAR. But again, he can't stay on the field, so of course,
Nah.
absolutely,
Right. Yeah.
makes sense.
He's been out since I think the first week of the season, something like that. Like he hasn't played.
You move on to left field, and I'll look it up for sure.
Left field. Andrew Benintendi with the White Sox is getting paid $17.1 million. Is getting a negative 1.7 B WAR for that, which is very cool. He's done a pretty good job, at least against the Yankees. I felt like he had a pretty good outing. So,
Well,
runner
everybody
up
had
is
a good day against the
Manuel.
Yankees.
What?
Everybody on the team had a good day against the Yankees.
You want to say that to my face? No, just kidding. All right, runner up for left field is Manuel Margot with the Twins, $10 million for a negative 0.6 WAR. There you go.
That talk about the Rays nailing it, getting rid
Yeah.
of a guy at the exact right moment. That's what they
Yep.
do. It's what they do. They say they'd rather get rid of a guy a year too early than a year too late. Right on the money with Margot.
Well,
So
and he's
Trevor
getting
Story played
paid.
it.
He's getting paid $2 million from Tampa, $4 million from the Dodgers, and the other $4 million from the Twins. That's in the Bleacher Report here. I got that right here.
That's so funny. So Trevor Story only
Amazing.
played in 8 games this year.
Right. Okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah. So yeah. Yep. Center field, I think we all saw this one coming. It's very unfortunate, but Mike Trout is right there because he's making
Sucks.
$37.2 million this year. He has a 1.0 B WAR. He was on pace to have an outstanding year this year, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy, unfortunately. So, honestly, I think we're seeing the rapid decline of Mike Trout simply because of health. When he plays, he's going to be great, but the question is going to be when's he going to be able to play?
Yep.
So, and then your runner-up is it Young Hoo Lee? Jung Hoo Lee with the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying him $7.8 million. He's got a 0.2 B WAR. But the fact that he's out for the entire season after only playing a handful, he played for a little while, 37 games.
Yeah.
And he got a shoulder injury. So, like, it could have been worse, but it also really could have been better. That injury is just unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't think he made the transition
Bad luck.
well. Right field. No surprise here. Chris Bryant for the Colorado Rockies is making $28 million for all of us to forget he's there and even wonder, is right field really where he plays? Because Brad and I were having the conversation earlier. It sure isn't third base, but we didn't know where else he was. That's how long it's been since he's played baseball in public.
In public, yes. Absolutely.
15 games at DH, 12 in right field, 9 at first base is what it says here.
Huh. All right.
Runner-up, Nick Castellanos, Philadelphia Phillies. $20 million for a .1 WAR. This is a hot take, in my opinion.
I agree, because I feel like the only reason they put him here is because he is one of the highest paid right fielders in the league, and it doesn't feel like it's a premium position, right? That, like, you're paying your right fielder a lot of money for whatever reason. Like Chris Bryant, it almost feels like because they could have put him under the DH, could have put him under third base, but they put him under right field, probably because that's where he has the least value at this point, right?
Yeah.
And Nick Castellanos really having a pretty good year. I mean, a 0.1 B WAR is not great, but it's not bad. He's not negative. He's not hurting his team, and he comes
he's
through
not
when it
hurting his team.
matters.
He does clutch. He comes through when it
And everybody on
matters,
that
and he
team
comes through when it's tragic. You can count on it.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right.
He will celebrate your losses with you, by winning.
Hitting dingers. Yeah, I think that's an interesting one, but at the same time, who else are you going to put there? So
I don't know. Can't be Juan Soto making 30+ million a year and
because he's an MVP candidate,
killing it. Yeah, I'm telling you. Okay, designated hitter. Is that me or you?
That's me, yeah. Giancarlo Stanton of the Yankees.
Oh,
32 million.
My favorite list name on this whole list. I've been saying it for years. Go ahead, Brad. Sorry.
You have been saying it. He is getting paid $32 million for 0.5 B WAR. Brig, 0.5.
No, I know.
0.5.
And I feel like he's picked up 0.5 in the last 3 weeks. 4.
He very well may have. He's played 83 games. Do you realize that?
Nobody's played 83 games and gone off the record like this guy has.
83 feels like a lot. Okay, the runners up, Brig, is the double Mitch Witch sandwich in Seattle. Mitch Haniger is getting paid $20 million for a negative 0.3 B WAR. At one point, he had the worst WAR of any active, like everyday player. And then Mitch Garver is the other one, $10.5 million, a negative 0.2 B WAR. By the way, Mitch Garver admitted in public that he has just accepted that he's not going to hit 200 this year.
In public?
He
said the quiet part out loud?
He on the record. It was in the newspaper. Brig, extra. And they printed it, everything. He's hitting 167, and he's been demoted to the backup catcher role from the DH role. And he's still with DH periodically against lefties, but really you don't really see him unless it's a backup catcher day.
Okay, cool. Thank you for coming. Okay, the intermission. This is the intermission. They've given us a fully sunk cost division. These are the names of the guys who basically don't play baseball and who are getting paid at least $10 million. So we've got Jacob deGrom, Texas Rangers, $40 million. Steven Strasburg, still getting paid by the Nationals. It's still $35 million. Cannot understand. He's still officially retired this season. Lucas Giolito, Boston Red Sox are paying him $18 million. He had Tommy John. Hoping to be back. Lance McCullers Jr. by the Astros, $17.7 million. Madison Bumgarner, forgot he was there. Arizona Diamondbacks, $14 million. Anthony DeSclafani.
DeSclafani, I think.
You say it however you want. Minnesota Twins, $12 million. Oh, man. This just gets worse. See, this guy plays for the Rockies. I don't even know how to say his name. Antonio Senzatella. Whoever that is.
The problem, Brig, is that so many of these guys are Tommy John victims. I mean, Madison Bumgarner he got cut, right? But Giolito, UCL surgery. Steven Strasburg was retired, right? But deGrom, UCL. McCullers flexor tendon, which is related to your UCL. You're going to be out for a while with that. DeSclafani, flexor tendon. Senzatella, Tommy John, and then you've got Robert Stevenson. He's another Tommy John guy, $11 million.
Yeah.
So that's part of the problem. And I wonder if teams are going to start to be a little bit more cautious with guys who maybe haven't had Tommy John yet. But then again, it's no guarantee you're not going to have it again. So I don't know.
Yeah. Twice is very common now.
Yep.
All right, Brad, hit us with your starting pitchers.
Starting pitcher, Patrick Corbin. Of course, he's on this list with the Nationals. $35.4 million. Oh, man. With with a -1 B WAR. Is that the lowest WAR we've seen on this list so far? At a full
Almost.
-1.
It's not the
Oh,
lowest, but it's close.
Javi Baez was was even lower than that. I think that the Trevor Story was too.
1.8, right? Trevor Story was negative
Abreu
1.8.
was 1.6.
Yeah.
Why did I scrolled right past the shortstop somehow? There we go. Javi Baez is -1.1.
Mm,
So it's like the third lowest. But
wow.
he doesn't play every day. So there's
That's
that.
true.
And your other starting pitchers, you got Max Scherzer with the Rangers, 43.3 million, 0.4 B WAR, but that's strictly injury related. And the same thing with Justin Verlander, $43.3 million with a point 0.7 B WAR. Again, injury related. Old guys
They're
getting up
old. Yeah, I was going to say they're about as old as it gets. So
there. Yeah. However, Jordan Montgomery, $25 million. He's gonna do you one better, Patrick Corbin. -1.3 B WAR. And that was because he was just horrendous when he started this year.
truly horrendous.
Absolutely.
I'm
And
going to
then
take
you're
another
to
dagger
round
here.
out your starting rotation, you got Garrett Cole, $36 million, 0.9 B WAR. Explain this one to me, Brig. Because
Just
this feels a lukewarm.
yeah, it's not. There's a reason he's at the bottom of this list. Um, I feel like they had to work to justify him onto the list, and it's a high profile hot take here. He does have a WAR, or excuse me, an ERA that's way higher than we want it to be. But if you look around the league among other starting pitchers, 4.15 is going to be around league average for starting pitchers. I'm shooting from the hip with that. You should look it up. But I feel
I'm
like
looking
that's
right
about
now.
league average. He's only had, 10 or 11 starts this season. There's an injury he's coming back from. They need him bad. The pressure is on. He's hard on himself. I don't know. Is he getting paid a ton of money? Yeah, a ton of money. And is this the wrong year to have analyzed? That's not a word. Have analyzed his value against his earnings? Yes, this is the wrong year to have done that for him. I think in any other year, you're not going to see him on this list.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see. Let me go back and see if I can find American. I'll just look up American League
There you
average.
go. Yeah.
For actually, no, I can get it right here. Duh. What am
Do
I
it.
thinking? Pitching ERA league average is 4.1. So he's
See?
just a bit
Nailed it.
below league average. Yep.
Yeah, that's close
Nice.
enough for me. Good enough for the government work. Okay. Relief pitchers. The first place is Edwin Diaz for the New York Mets. He's making 19.65 million. He's got a positive .2 WAR, B WAR. What do you think of this? There was an injury situation going on.
I mean, most of the guys on this list have been injured. Is the problem?
Yeah.
There's been some
Yeah.
underperformance, but primarily it's injury related. So I'm fine. It's
Yeah.
fine because you're
Craig
paying.
Kimbrell.
Because
Go ahead.
well, as I say, Diaz is getting paid a ton of money. The only guy who's getting paid more than him, I think, is Josh Hader as far as closers go, or even
Mm,
maybe relief pitchers. And I can look that
yeah.
up for sure. But like, um,
That
but
sounds
that's a
right.
lot of money for a. So Hader is getting a shade under that. Hader's getting 19 even.
Okay.
So yeah, so he's the highest paid closer in baseball with a
Wow.
.2 B WAR.
Okay. Maybe they're right. Maybe this is overpaid a little.
Yeah. So
Craig Kimbrell overpaid with a negative .1 B WAR, earning 13 million off of the back of that guy. The fact that Craig Kimbrell is the best the Baltimore Orioles were able to do for a closer boggles the mind. I want to know how many blown saves Craig Kimbrell has thrown versus how many saves he's earned, because I feel like he's so up and down. I don't know.
Yes. Well, so here, this is my big thing with Kimbrel is he's 36.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he is so far past his prime
Oh
that
yeah.
I wouldn't trust him in the closer role.
But they do every day.
So he has 23 saves,
Okay.
4 losses. I don't see a blown saves
Well, how
statistic.
about save opportunities? How many save opportunities versus the 23 saves?
That's a good one to look at. I don't see it on here. I'd have to take a
Okay,
deeper
whatever.
dive, and I don't necessarily have the time to do that right now.
Not going to do it. Number 3, Ryan Presley, Astros, $14 million. He does not have a B WAR. It's 0.0. Jose Alvarado for the Phillies, $9.025 million. That's too much mathematicianist for me. Negative 0.1 B WAR. And then Aroldis Chapman is making 10.5 for the Pirates with a .5 B WAR. And the man will
So
not
that
be
one,
outdone.
that and will not be outdone exactly. This is another interesting one because he wasn't in the closer role for. Actually, he still isn't their closer, right? Like
Right.
and for a while, I don't think he was even a high leverage reliever. So that's a
No,
lot of
he's a
money to
setup guy.
pay. Just like, well, he wasn't the setup guy. He was just kind of like, if you're up 4 or 5 runs, then you bring him in because you don't trust
Yeah,
him if you're
that's
within
true.
2 or 3, right?
That's true.
But they've come back to that now that somehow he's gotten his velo back and
Yeah.
his control, so they brought him back
Yeah.
into a setup role. But that's a lot of money to be paying your setup guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure is. At least it's
Like
positive war.
it is, and he's been good. He's been good again.
Yeah.
It's like Ben Joyce went and chucked that gas, and he's like, "Wait a minute, what?"
Hold on,
Because the Pirates
kid.
are paying Bednar just over $4 million this year.
That's it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Baseball family, what do you think of the list that Bleacher Report put together of all overpaid team? If you're like me and you have lots of daggers in your pack as a Yankees fan, we took a lot of heat rounds on that
But it's
list,
also
and
like explanatory for what's going on, right? For what you've seen. I feel like it explains a lot.
it's justified. It passes the eye test. It really does. It makes a lot of sense. And that Giancarlo Stanton boulder is our we feel like Sisyphus like pushing the Giancarlo Stanton's contract
There you
up the
go.
hill. It used to be Jacoby Ellsbury, and now we cannot go without one. Apparently, it's very cool.